I'm Dottie Kay. Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Upper St. Clair's Community Informational Program. Our guest today is David Rice. David is Township Commissioner for Ward 4, and he will begin his second term in January of 1986. David is chairman of the Township's Commission's 3-member cable board. He is responsible for Eastern Telecom's decision to sell their franchise in Upper St. Clair. Commissioner Rice is the principal author of the amended and restated franchise agreement between Adelphia Communications and the Township. He was responsible for securing the $50,000 grant from Adelphia Public Access Equipment. Commissioner Rice is committed to the delivery of the best possible cable service available to the residents of Upper St. Clair. David, it's nice to have you with us today, taking time from your busy schedule. And our panel from the League are, to my left, Betty Sweeney, Trudy Rose, and Loretta Lang. And I know they're very anxious to ask you begin with the questions, so we will get right on with it if it's all right with you.
Get into it.
In 1974, Upper St. Clair adopted a philosophy that cable television should be a community communication service. Do you feel that is still the philosophy of the Board of Commissioners?
Yes, I do. I think the board, over the last 4 years that I've been a member of the board anyway, the board has really demonstrated a continued commitment to cable television in general and public access specifically. Over the last 4 years, we not only have had the opportunity of going about getting a new franchise once Eastern Telecom's decision to sell was made, to get a new franchise with Adelphia Communications, but additionally that gave us the opportunity to negotiate with Adelphia for public access equipment and a commitment from them to back public access. The township has backed it to the hilt, I think, over the last 4 years from the standpoint the studio, a lot of administrative time and help and talent, and just recently we went out and got an intern to help back up this system. So I think the township has really demonstrated its commitment to seeing this succeed.
Good. Do you feel that Upper St. Clair Cablevision has accepted this philosophy?
Yes, I do. They, before they came to us, they had successful operations from a public access standpoint. They had successful operations in both Ohio and New York State. Both of those operations are up and running and were well funded, and Adelphia played no small part in that. Additionally, of course, the communities themselves have to support it a great deal. Adelphia has done everything we've asked them to from the standpoint of support for public access.
And that's good. How many households presently subscribe to Upper St. Clair Cablevision?
I thought you might ask that question. Yesterday I made a call. It's 71% of the households, which is a very, very high percentage, and I think speaks well of the system that we're delivering, that many people would avail themselves of it. 71%, which comes to 5,450 households.
Thank you.
David, what are the lines of authority in the township for dealing with cable television?
Do you have a specific problem or
I don't have a
situation in mind?
problem
Because it depends on what we're talking about. If it's in the area of public access, they have their own telephone line that comes in here, 831-1330. Dial in here, tell them you're interested in working with public access, they'll be glad to have you come in. If it has to do with an installation problem or a service problem, there's a number on the cable card that you call for that. If it has to do with a billing problem, there's a number that you call for that. In each case, you're dealing there with Adelphia Communications. If it has to do with a problem that it seems that you're having with Adelphia and they're not curing, Then you would want to get in contact with Township Administration, who would have it on the Cable Commission's agenda. The Cable Commission is appointed by the Board of Commissioners. It's a 5-member citizens board who is responsible for seeing that Adelphia lives by the letter of the franchise. So if you're having a problem you can't get a solution to, the Cable Commission is who you'd want to contact. You get them through Township Administration.
Has the company complied with orders and regulations issued by you, and was it in a timely manner?
Well, yes and no. I don't issue any orders to Adelphia Communications. They live by the franchise. In the beginning, there were some false starts, and I think some of those had to do with, during that same period of time, the FCC was talking about deregulation, and there were a lot of rumors and a lot of conversation floating around and a lot of bad information. Additionally, I think because it was a new franchise and we were very tough with them when we wrote it, we expected them to dot every I and cross every T regarding their reports and so on. And I think somewhat like a new child, they wanted to test just how much we meant that. With time, they found we were serious, and they certainly complied to the letter of the law now, one time.
Well, thank you, David.
David, at this time, is the company financially sound? And on the same vein, what method does the township have of watching that, of keeping abreast of their financial condition?
The company is sound. We have no doubt about that. We have several safeguards built into the franchise additionally. Some of those are, they have quarterly reports they have to file, but then the big one is the full financial disclosure, which is submitted annually. That report is submitted to our independent outside auditor and is submitted confidentially to them. They review that and give us a condensed report of how solvent they are. I would suspect, though, that the average resident would probably notice, as we would, notice if there were any early warning signals of financial problems. Installing cable, providing service, the trucks and the manpower, and installing new subdivisions are very, very expensive undertakings. If Adelphia was running into financial trouble, I think we would see it very quick because they wouldn't be quick to start installing a new subdivision, which after all requires a lot of money underground before they start producing any money from it. You'd start seeing their service suffer. You'd start seeing the picture quality suffer because they weren't keeping the system up in a good state of repair. So formally, we have a lot of checks and balances, but then each resident, too, can be, I think, an early warning indicator by monitoring Adelphia's response.
Also, you mentioned they do submit a financial statement. Does that include the fees? And are those records, have they been submitted timely, or have they kept you waiting?
They include everything, the reports they submit. In the beginning, once again, we had some false starts and the reports weren't coming on a timely basis. They are up to date now, and we have agreed to the timing and have actually amended that in the franchise. Part of the problem in the beginning is we'd required these interim reports semi-annually. Their fiscal year fell on an off quarter with those semi-annual reports, so they did a lot of cross-footing in order to supply those to us. We've actually gone back and amended the franchise to concur with their fiscal year, and as a result of that, now the reports are on time and comprehensive and very acceptable to us.
Thank you.
What procedures are used in conducting systems tests, and is Channel 7 included in the testing?
Quarterly, the franchise calls for testing. The testing is at random, or at randomly selected sites throughout the township. The Cable Commission is notified and may attend the test site, or may go to the test sites with the technicians to monitor that testing. All of the channels are tested at that time on a quarterly basis. And I might add that since the inception of the franchise, each and every quarter, the system tests have come through better than the quarter preceding. Adelphia has constantly improved, and I think the proof of that is your own television set.
Are the results written and available to the public?
The results are written, and like anything in local government, they are available. However, all they are is a list of meter readings, and we can't interpret them, we, the township, can't interpret them either. We're not trained or qualified to do so. And in fact, we send the test reports to an outside company who interprets those for us and gives us feedback. And again, each quarter, the tests have come back showing better signal quality in both video and audio.
Then the deficiencies are corrected in a timely manner, I assume.
If the deficiencies noted are corrected on a timely manner. Additionally, you have to recognize that a cable system is a live operating system. It's maybe like a telephone system or any other system like that. You constantly see service trucks on the road of the telephone company, of the power and light company, of the water company. And hopefully you see cable vehicles, vans running around the township as well. They're constantly upgrading their lines and amplifiers and equipment.
Is our system as advanced as others of comparable size?
Yes, we feel that we have a very advanced system. We feel that we compare very favorably with other communities in the South Hills. Certainly, we believe that Adelphia is delivering a system that is financially sound for them, and probably as an expensive a system given today's technology as they could afford to deliver to a community our size.
Have our facilities and equipment been upgraded?
Our facilities are constantly being upgraded, both downstairs here at the head end in the studio. Again, you will see service trucks all through the community at just about any day. You'll see cables up, you'll see them burying cables, you'll see them replacing cables. It's in a constant state of repair and replacement. It's the nature of the type of animal we're talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sorry.
Is the public access facility in the township building the one that was agreed upon in the franchise?
Yes, it is. The difference is we have really taken it over. The franchise also calls for Adelphia to have an office here, and we've since let them out of that. We didn't feel it was practical that they were fragmented as they were between Mount Lebanon, Bethel Park, and Peters and Upper St. Clair. So we allowed them to consolidate their offices. At the same time, we installed a bill drop here at the community building.
Can direct cable casting, recording, and transmitting be performed here in the studio?
Yes, we have a head-end facility here, and everything you're seeing now is being taped. That tape is put into a recorder that goes upstream to what's known as the head end. The head end amplifies it and sends it back downstream to every household in Upper St. Clair that has the cable.
Could you tell me what the status of the additional access facility that is provided for by the franchise? What is the status of that?
It's past due. The franchise called for Adelphia to help us set this studio here. Additionally, the franchise called for a central studio, which will be in Bethel Park at Adelphia's new headquarters building, which incidentally ground was broken for that building Friday, November 1st. That studio is envisioned to service both Upper St. Clair, Peters, Mount Lebanon, and Bethel Park. They are behind schedule on their groundbreaking. Undoubtedly, they'll be behind schedule on getting the studio up and running. However, we haven't really felt it imperative to hold their hands to the fire on the speed of that building to date, at least, because we didn't feel that we were at a point where we were outgrowing the facility that we're in now, nor did we feel, recognizing that it's a significant investment on their part, that the other three communities were in a position to start using it. Public access in Peters and Mount Lebanon and Bethel Park are really, truly just in its infancy. As a matter of fact, most of them don't have any equipment such as we're using here today at all.
And I can assume that all of our promised equipment has been provided.
We weren't really promised specifically any equipment. When we renegotiated the franchise, we asked, as a term of signing the new franchise with Adelphia, we asked for $50,000 to be devoted, for us to devote to the public access equipment. As soon as we could spec it and let them know what it was that we really wanted, it was ordered and expeditiously delivered. At this point in time, the $50,000 is spent. Additionally, some federal revenue sharing money has been spent. That was just before the 50, actually, which makes $60,000. Additionally, the township, and through franchise fees, is continually putting money into this facility for equipment replacement, tapes, and so on.
Thank you. In general, then, do you feel the operator is in compliance with the franchise?
Yes, I do. I think certainly in the spirit of the franchise, we could hold Adelphia's hand to the fire, as I previously stated, force them to dot every I and cross every T. Generally, we've approached it, we think, as business people, and they've approached it on the same basis. Certainly in the spirit of the franchise, they are in full compliance, and we are most happy with the quality and service that they've been providing us, and their support and their enthusiasm for supporting public access as well.
David, have you looked into the deregulation issue and how it might affect Upper St. Clair and its franchise?
Certainly, we were monitoring deregulation very closely through all its starts and stops and starts and stops and all the rumors that were floating, and trial balloons, I suppose a lot of them were as well. Deregulation certainly affects us, as it does any community who has a cable franchise. As franchisor before deregulation, we were king. They really couldn't do anything at all without us concurring, whether it be in rates or extension of services or anything. Congress, in their infinite wisdom, essentially said, let the marketplace be the marketplace. Price will prevail. If a cable operator prices himself out of business, then you as a subscriber, their feeling was you as a subscriber have alternatives. From a practical standpoint, those alternatives would be back to rabbit ears, buy a dish, or do without television altogether. But their feeling was that the marketplace would dictate to the operator what the operator could charge and what he would need to do, which basically, as is any other business run. There is, though, an effect on the franchise, and it's twofold. One, the township is no longer king, but rather the taxpayers are king. The subscribers are king. They'll set the rates. Personally, I greeted that with mixed reviews because I enjoyed playing king with the franchise. And the second thing is that it will mean to the average subscriber that he will truly dictate what channels come in and what channels don't by allowing the marketplace to take effect. Personally, my belief is that an operator of the quality that Adelphia has demonstrated to us so far will actually end up providing a much better service to the residents, because they will be financially sound and will be in a position to do so as a result of deregulation.
So am I right in assuming you approve of the deregulation personally?
Well, again, I greeted it with mixed reviews. It meant that we didn't have the final say on everything that they were doing, and sometimes I think that short term, certainly, sometimes that will be good and sometimes that will be bad, but overall, I think it will provide nationwide for those strong operators to become stronger and do a better job of delivering cable service.
Thank you, David.
Due to recent demands of time on the air by many organizations in Upper St. Clair, do you feel that the programming hours where the tapes are being played rather than the newspaper, do you feel that that programming time will be extended soon?
Yes, I do. When we first started, we went out, well, I guess when we first started, we bought an Apple computer and had a very talented resident come in and program that to provide our first video newspaper. It was slow and it was, the graphics were bad and it was very limiting, but it put us on 24 hours a day so that you would know we were here. Since then, we've instituted a video newspaper with a character generator, and those are the graphics that you see when you're not seeing live programming. About that time, we started off 3 days a week with 4 hours each day of programming. But it was the same 4 hours all 3 days. Shortly after that, within the last year or so, we've instituted Wednesday night programming, which is devoted strictly to sports in and around the Upper St. Clair Township. Now we find ourselves with a much fuller schedule in hours, when we're running those 4 days, and four days and or evenings a week. And we're in a position where we're going back to some of the old people that fed us programming and asking them if we can't cut them back from 3 showings per week to 2, so we can put some more fresh programming in, because we're finding that we're beginning to get an abundance of fresh programming. Certainly we're about at the threshold where once again we'll have to either find another day, either during the day or in the evening, to extend programming to, or we'll have to take the 3 days, the 3 basic days excluding the special day of sports night, take those 3 basic days and extend the programming on those, just to keep up with the new programs that are coming in.
Mm-hmm. What do you see for the future of cable TV in Upper St. Clair?
I think that Upper St. Clair was a pace setter 4 years ago or so when we renegotiated with Adelphia Communications to our current franchise. Certainly, we were a cornerstone to their operation in the South Hills. That enabled them to approach Mount Lebanon, with which, of course, they've signed. It enabled them to keep Peters and extend programming to them. It enabled them to open a real dialogue with Bethel Park. So we were the cornerstone. And I think they've been very appreciative in the part that this community played in that. I think that we'll continue forward with Adelphia, with new technology as it enters the marketplace and as it becomes financially feasible for a community of our size. And I think that we'll continue leading the South Hills as a pace setter in the cable field.
That's a nice vision.
Do you have any suggestions for residents of Upper St. Clair that might ensure the system that was envisioned?
In the beginning, we envisioned where we started here a few minutes ago with a system, not just delivering signals to each and every household that chose to have the cable, but a system of communications. Public access really rounds out that system. It makes it almost 2 ways. In today's technology, a cube for a community our size is not in the cards. But public access essentially gives us a cube from the standpoint that we can not just receive a signal, but we can come into this studio or come in and check out equipment and take it out into the neighborhood and create our own signal. We have a special channel for that, and that's the one you're watching. It's Cable 7, and it's exclusively for Upper St. Clair's use. It's an exciting idea, because when you look at the media that we have the Pittsburgh newspapers, we have Pittsburgh radio stations, we have Pittsburgh television stations. And when we tune those in, we find out what's happening in Pittsburgh and the world, but precious little about what's happening in our community where we live, where we pay, a fair amount of taxes, and where we send our kids to school and so on. And we really don't get that kind of news on commercial television or through the mass media. Public access allows each of us in our own way to start creating that kind of programming. It gives each and every resident a tremendous opportunity to communicate, to educate, to fascinate, to share information with their fellow citizens. Certainly the programming opportunities are as unlimited as your imagination would make it. We are here with all of the equipment and the facilities for the people. Now that's called public access. The access really is in place. What we would really like to see to round out the system that we initially envisioned was more public in that formula. More programs such as this, just more programming in general, whether it be sports or whether it be something to fascinate, a hobby you have that you might want to share, something to educate, you know something special about a given topic and you'd like to share that, or maybe even your vacation. You went someplace special and saw a lot of neat things and had your own video camera with you. You could bring that tape in and we can convert it from 1/2 inch to 3/4, and you could put on a travel log for us and show us your trip to China or the Rockies or wherever. So the opportunities are endless, and more public in public access will, I think, neatly round out the system that was originally envisioned many, many years ago.
Are there any? David, I want to thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you.
It was my pleasure.
And I'd like to thank the members of the League panel, Betty Sweeney, Trudy Rose, and Loretta Lang. I'm Dottie Kay for the League of Women Voters of Upper St. Clair.